You know, some people age like a fine wine, and some people age like a can of special brew left on a hot windowsill. Whichever one you are, get ready to talk about those pesky little emotions of yours, because it's time for another episode of I've Had a Rosé, Let's Talk About Feelings. Please welcome your host, Sam Lake. It was me the whole time. Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of I've Had a Rosé, Let's Talk About Feelings, the show where me and my wonderful guest enjoy a drink of their choosing, and then we talk about something they're passionate about and find out how it connects to their feelings. He's already nodding. You can see who my guest is. It's the wonderful Marc Jennings.
Hello Sam, thank you very much for having
Mark.
me.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm excited to do both of those things you've just described.
Well, I had a lovely time when I did your podcast.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
No, it was a very you've got a very swish setup.
It's quite nice, isn't it?
There, which when I watch episodes of it, I don't fully realise all of the work that goes into setting a space like that up.
Yeah, well, the good thing about the fact I've got it there is that I don't need to do any more setup, because see, when we've been recording a few in here for the Fringe, and I've had to log some of my own stuff in, and I forget how much I pay in the arse it is.
Do you feel like you're having an affair on your original studio when you come here?
No, I kind of like to do it in different places, because I feel like the main, because if you're talking about it like it's the real sort of commitment I'm making is to my listeners. So as long as we're getting the episode out every week, it doesn't really fucking matter whether they're doing it.
Doesn't matter.
You can like it or lump it. Right?
Sometimes I say that before gigs now. If I'll do the gig, but I'm sort of not going to give it 100%, I'll be like, they're going to get the show they deserve.
Absolutely. I
mean,
mean,
sometimes is not.
But that's all you can give them. Do you know what I mean? Like whatever I think it's good on stage. Like, see if you are tired or you're, feeling a bit down or up. Like, I think just matching the energy that you're naturally feeling and just going with that. And sometimes you can it means you're a wee bit more slow and measured on stage. Sometimes you can just be up and a bit more bang, bang, bang with it. But I think if you just match what you're naturally feeling, that's probably the best way to do it.
Do you think you bring the energy to the audience, or the audience gives you the energy?
It's like an open loop or whatever they call that, isn't it? It's like
a snake that's eating its tail.
Right, is it?
I don't know.
It's been a while since I've had a Nokia 3310. I think because it's like anything like that. Like, they say this, like you always say this in sport and stuff. Like, they feed off the atmosphere and obviously in stand up as well. Sometimes you're not feeling it, and then you go on stage and fuck, the crowd are amazing. And
when I'm doing sport, I definitely feed off the atmosphere. When that stadium's telling me to either kick or pick up the ball depending on what sport I'm playing, they really give me something there.
But I think so it's, sometimes they pick you up and sometimes you need to pick them up, and ideally when both it's a hot crowd, and when you're fucking feeling it as well, then that's when the magic happens.
A hot crowd where it's, you mean like as in like they're up for it, not like they're all just incredibly fuckable.
Ideally both.
Ideally both.
I like the phrase. It's a very old timey, because like for the 70s or Lenny Bruce times or something, but they used to call it a hip crowd. You're a really hip crowd in tonight. It's like Rodney Dangerfield or something. But I think that's because sometimes you get a non-hip crowd and you're like, they're not going to get the fucking Charlie XCX
more like a hip
and
replacement crowd.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. A hip replacement. That's a good way to put it.
I think because we're currently doing the shows at Monkey Barrel this weekend. I'd say last night's first audience was a hip replacement crowd.
Well, certainly the fucking ones in the front row. They couldn't even stay awake.
Yeah. Was it your first gig after the Fringe as well?
Aye.
So we've had a month of like Edinburgh being quite busy comedy-wise, lots going on. Most people will take a break. Not us. We're veterans. We're not pissing off to Portugal or somewhere for a nice holiday. We're back on the front lines.
I'm talking to you, every single Australian comedian, by the way.
Yeah.
20 of them went to Portugal.
Oh, enjoy yourself. Enjoy your time off.
I know. You not had enough sun growing up in the fucking...
But I think after doing that first show, we were like, do you know what? They actually do have a point.
No, I think there is a lot to be said for it. But I'm staying here till the end of the month, so I thought I might as well just kick about.
Make the most of it.
This is about the third time I've done a week, because I've done the stand a couple of times after the Fringe ends, and it's always weird. Like, it feels like you always see those pictures the day after Glastonbury, and it's just it's just like rubbish everywhere. That's what Edinburgh feels like right now. It's just like a party. Yeah, this is like 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
At a party that you should have already went home.
Yeah. Something really fun happened here, but that's over now.
Yeah.
And now time to just tread in the mud like the pigs that we are.
It is strange because we're always in the barrel bar during Fringe and it's always mobbed and all that. And then last night I was like the only person there at one point. I'm like, where's everyone gone?
Yeah, it's not often that you go like, oh, I long for the vibe of the Fringe, but
I know.
yeah.
But I don't mind though. It's weird though because I'm walking the exact same walk as I was the whole Fringe into the same bit.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
the vibes so different
commute.
and it's just so interesting how just like you're doing the same things basically, but just knowing the fact in your head you know that it's not the Fringe and all this sort of stuff. It totally changes the way you look
psychologically it's different, isn't it? Shall we talk about your drink?
Yeah, totally.
Now, so you've chosen, I think I'd heard of it before, but I can't remember if I've had it before. Frangelico.
Frangelico.
A little, it's a caramel liqueur, apparently.
Yeah.
Hints
Is that
of
what they
caramel.
say?
Well, so I bought a bottle of this on the way just in case there wasn't one here. I stopped in the off license around the corner from me and I said, do you have Frangelico? And he handed me a Freddo. And I said, you've misheard me.
Wow. A Freddo?
Yeah, which was actually more expensive than the bottle of Frangelico.
No, I don't. Well, that's that. These days, the cost of
These days, cost of living. Yeah. Cheap as you just get your children drunk and give them a nice Freddo.
It's Frangelico. It does. It's so nice though. See if you told me it was made from Freddos, I would believe you.
You could, yeah, just the waft of it in the room right now.
Well, what? So I've had it a few times. One of the times I had it, I was in London and I'd done a comedy store and weirdly me and the Manchester comic Mick Ferry went for a drink.
Oh, yeah.
And he loves it and he's like, tastes like Ferrero Rocher. And it does. It tastes like Ferrero Rocher,
Yeah.
which we'll find out in a minute, I guess.
I think people, like, that's why I quite like a Baileys or an Amaretto because they taste like nice things rather than just whiskey, which we've had a few times on this show, and it just burns. Even if you tell me there's a nice fruity note to it, I'll be like, no, it burns.
See, during lockdown, right? And
Yeah.
now sometimes like you would just make your own drinks in the house with what stuff you had. I had Baileys and I had what'd you call it? Southern Comfort.
Oh,
and so I
yeah.
started making what I coined an Irish Comfort, which was Southern Comfort, Baileys, and then milk. And it's like a kind of White Russian, but just with the shit I had in the house.
An Irish Russian.
And an Irish Comfort as well.
An Irish Comfort. Lovely. Very good.
I'm sure that might actually be an actual drink, but as far as I know, I invented it.
No, I'd say you invented it. I've not had it in a bar before.
Hang on, I need to copyright that before this episode goes out.
I'll
just in
start
case.
walking into bars and being like, can I have an Irish Comfort, please? And I'll be like, what? And I'll be like, I'll teach you a thing or two. Was it because that he introduced you to Frangelico that you've got onto it?
We didn't actually. It was actually something my mum liked.
Right.
She liked an amaretto and stuff, and Frangelico was the one. I think maybe her friend or something bought her one, but she just had it in the house, and I remember tasting it, just thinking it was really nice. And so it's just something that I kind of I associate with her and stuff like that. And but it's always, but I just like it as well. It's like a nice one. So see if and it's quite a distinctive bottle as well. I don't know if it's in short. Can maybe put it there, but it's like, so see when I see it on like a shelf, if I'm in like a certain bar or whatever, I'll sometimes just get it as a
It stands out.
stands out and just play, and it's nice. It's just like a wee, and if people haven't tried it, I'll be like, right, I'll get a shot of that, and they're always think, no, it's gonna be like a tequila or something, and they're like, well, that's really nice. So sometimes it's just a fun wee thing to have.
Just you and Barbosh just going around of Frangelicos for these guys, please.
Only on special occasions.
Only on
I would
special.
say,
Well,
know.
do you ever drink it on like a particular occasion? Because like I said Bailey's before, but I would normally only have that sort of around Christmas time.
Aye, yeah. So I maybe probably have had one like, you know, my mum's birthday or an event, like, you know, like something like that. Is like kind of passed away a few years ago, but like so something like that. I'll just like a nice wee
A commemorative thing.
commemorative thing. Yeah,
That's
or just,
nice.
Or just sometimes like, you know, if it's just in the house and I'm like,
Why
if
not?
something good's happened. It's my birthday, a Christmas, something
celebratory
like-
thing.
a celebratory, commemorative, that type of thing. Special occasions.
Yeah.
I would say.
I can't remember what my mum's favourite drink was, but I do remember when she was pregnant with my brother, she'd eat barbecue sauce on toast.
Right. Okay.
So every now and again, I'll have that when nobody's
I think
watching.
that was like a kind of like replacement for whatever she would have been drinking.
Meth.
That's methadone.
Healthy substitute,
Barbecue
actually.
sauce.
Very healthy substitute. Well, should we have a little snifter of it
Yeah,
then?
I'm curious to see your thoughts on it, actually.
Yeah. All right.
Do we
Well,
cheers?
cheers.
I didn't know if we cheersed or not.
So I don't hold the mug by the handle, I've realised. I
Right.
hold a mug like that, and then
Well,
I think
thankfully
of
it's not
this as a little...
It's not scalding hot. Well, that is how it's meant to be served.
Is it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, now see, if you told me that wasn't alcoholic,
It wasn't alcoholic. Yeah, you could probably drink a full bottle, couldn't you?
yeah, dangerous actually.
Yeah.
That's delightful.
It's nice, isn't it?
It does taste like the inside of a Kinder Bueno.
Yeah, it's very,
Yeah.
Whatever you call that, hazelnut or...
There's a name for that. You can buy the paste that's inside a Kinder Bueno
Really?
in like a jar as a
Can we
spread.
look
But I
that
can't
up,
remember what
Ewan?
it's called.
What's that called?
It's not like
Nougat? Is it nougat?
No, because that's what's in Snickers and Mars.
Right.
That little layer of nougat. I can't remember what it is, but it's got a fancy name. I want to say it begins with a B.
Biscotti.
He's going to turn around and just go, cream. It just says
no.
cream. Oh, that was a name for it. I'll find out for next time. That's lovely.
Yeah, it's very nice, isn't it?
I was asking before we started to record. It feels like the kind of thing that you might get offered a shot of when you're on holiday, like in Spain or something.
Aye.
And you're like, oh, do you want to have like a shot on the house? And they usually bring you like a limoncello or something.
Yeah.
But this could be that as well.
Absolutely.
I'd enjoy this with like a coffee.
I would always thank you for one of these, you know, if you got... Because sometimes the shots they give you, like those occasions and holiday stuff, they're not that nice.
Yeah.
Did you ever have an ouzo in Greece?
I've had ouzo before. I've not when I went to Greece, but I have had ouzo before.
Yeah, because it's like, I'm not the biggest fan of ouzo.
Well, it tells you something about the culture. They either want to finish the meal and then get really drunk, or they want to finish the meal, have a little sweet treat, and then everyone go home and have a good night's sleep.
You think that's what's happening?
I think so. The last time when we had a big family holiday in Spain just before the Fringe, and we got all 19 of us round a restaurant table, and the shot they gave us was that tequila rose.
Oh, yeah, I mean...
The pink creamy.
I love tequila rose.
Yeah?
I feel like tequila rose and baby Guinness have completely changed the shot game. I think that they are the two that I'd always thank you for, because I'm at the point now, like, you know, in your 30s, like, I'm like, there's no way that I'm fucking having a shot of tequila or some book or anything like that. Get the fuck.
Someone offered me a tequila slammer. The night's taken an interesting turn.
I know the consequences of that. It's never a good idea.
Well, it used to be that, hangover would last a very long time. Now, heartburn, indigestion.
Yeah, this is it. You need a shot of Gaviscon after it.
Yeah, that's an aperitif.
Do you know, I was in this pub in Denniston in Glasgow once, right? And we'd been for dinner, went to this pub. It's a nice, kind of quite trendy pub. And I asked for 2 shots of baby Guinness, and the lassie was new.
Yeah.
And she just gave us 2 shots of actual Guinness, which we did not realise until we took it. And then, see when you're expecting something that sweet, and then you get like the most fucking bitter fucking...
Something real stouty.
And do you know what? I didn't even have the heart to go up and like tell on her or say to her. I just went up and ordered another couple of shots of someone else. But I was just, it was so funny that I just thought, but I was like, oh, what a poor wee soul.
Bless her. Bless her. Did you leave her a tip?
No, I mean, obviously not. Well, she was behind the bar. There's no going to fucking tip every time I've had, you know.
Fair enough.
But
Fair enough.
No, but but baby Guinness and tequila rose, fucking brilliant.
I'm picking up on, and I don't mean this in a bad way because I'm this way too, and many guests on the show have revealed this about themselves. Sometimes being a little bit of a basic bitch.
Listen,
actually quite nice.
Do you know what? I will embrace my basic bitchness completely. Like we were just discussing off air about me trying to get Oasis tickets.
Oh,
and
yes.
Like, I know all the perceptions people have, people like Oasis, and I get it. And as a bit of a comedy snob to an extent myself, I understand that music snobs do look down on the Oasis thing. But look, what can I do? I like them.
You like what you like.
I like what I like. I don't know that much about music. And do you know what? I want to keep it that way. Because you know that way you ruin comedy for yourself and even watching films.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about music.
If you become too much of a purist, it's the same with
I don't know what the fuck a bridge is, and I don't want to know. Do you know what I mean?
It's like goes over like a river.
Of troubled water.
Yeah. Between those two, there's some troubled waters. No, I completely agree with that. It's the same for people who, like with like wine. Like I can have a cheap £4.99 bottle of Lamborghini or something, and perfectly drinkable to me. I'm sure if you gave me a fancy £250 bottle of wine, I'd be like, yes, I will appreciate this too. But there's no difference in it. I like a bit of everything.
No. And that is interesting when you think about comedy, isn't it? Because sometimes you like, you know, there's people that like, you know, you go and see their show and you're like, oh, these brilliant and these geniuses and all that.
Yeah.
And then there's somebody that you think like, oh, maybe they're a bit hack or whatever, but people go out loving it and going great. And you're like, do you know what? That's the £5 Lambrini.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like still doing the same job. Do you know what I mean? And okay, it's not sophisticated, but you know, maybe it works.
Yeah.
So
it's the difference between a Kinder Bueno and a Kinder. Oh, that'll do.
aye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a Kinder Egg.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But no, I think I don't mind being like there's certain aspects of that. I think with like I'm not that sophisticated food wise, coffee wise. I'm not a coffee snob.
No.
You know, music stuff. But there's things that I'm perfectly fine to be basic because in a way then you go like, well, do you know what? It's nice to be part of the rest of culture. Rather than just thinking you're rising above it and all that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just like everybody else, you know.
Out of interest, how do you feel about Taylor Swift?
No, I think it's like here's the thing. I don't like to slag anyone off for things they like because
exactly.
I think that's people turn off to that. And I think I was actually when I was looking at like people's Instagram stories for the Eras tour and all that, I thought I just think it's really cool when something's that big and everyone can really get excited about it. I think it's great. I have said before, and I don't totally agree with this because I was talking about my one of my pals. She was texting this guy, and he had told her that he listens to Joe Rogan, right? And she asked me if it was a red flag, and I was sort of saying, I think Rogan, because there's some guys that just listen to Rogan because they're into MMA and they want to hear him talk about the fights, and some people that just listen like when he's got a comedian on.
Yeah.
But I feel like listening to Rogan, it can sort of be the male equivalent of listening to Taylor Swift in the sense that a wee bit. It can be relatively harmless. Too much red flag, and
sure,
because you know the big Swifties.
If Taylor Swift said don't take the vaccine, COVID would go back on the rise.
Exactly. You know that's what I'm saying. But no, I do actually believe that obviously Rogan is more problematic than that. You know,
Slightly.
But you know, there's an interesting parallel there. But I do think that she's got some good tunes, and I think I would have liked to have seen the show because I just would have been like. It looked like an amazing concert, so
yeah,
I'd love to go. But that's what I'm saying. So when people now are like with the Oasis thing, and like people try to slag it, just let people like what they like.
Just let people live their life. You can just say it's not for me. You enjoy.
I hope you enjoy, and I think it's great that people.
I wish you well.
I wish you well.
I wish you well.
As Donald Trump said to Ghislaine Maxwell. I wish you well.
I was thinking of Gwyneth Paltrow, but sure.
Right. Okay. Fine.
That's what she said to that man who skied into her.
Is it? Maybe she was quoting Trump.
I wish you well. And then she left the courtroom. Well, seeing as we're on this basic bitch vibe, I feel like that leans into your topic that you wanted to talk about quite well.
Okay.
Because I do think there's good qualities to it, but I also think sometimes it's embraced in a way that is maybe... what's the best way of saying it? Like maybe oversimplifying?
I feel that it's become part. It certainly seems to have become part of mainstream sort of discourse in recent years.
Yes.
To the sort of in a way that's perhaps cheapened it.
Yeah. The topic that you've chosen is edging. No, I'm kidding. Three lads in the room. Get that joke? Lovely.
God, is this just what this every episode of this podcast like, Sam? You know, sitting next to
basically,
you?
every episode we're just edging our goons off. No, you wanted to talk about manifesting.
Yeah.
Everyone's manifesting.
No,
Are you currently manifesting?
In a way, I mean, I'm here, haven't I?
If this was on your vision board, I would say aim slightly higher.
Well, I'm interested. I've always been kind of interested in that thing, and I do think that our thoughts are more powerful than we realise. Right now,
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot. It's a lot of people think, and this is how it gets slagged off, right? Quite rightly, because it is funny when people just go, "Oh, I'm going to try and manifest this," and that's it. But you need to obviously do other stuff. But everything starts with thoughts, right? So before you take any action, you need to have the thought that goes into it. So like before you started stand up, you thought, "I want to try stand up."
True.
And that's if you don't have a, you know what I mean. And at some point, you probably thought, "Oh, well, I can be, you know, I can make this my job or whatever." And now you've done it. It's like that all starts with the thought and so in a way you're manifesting it. It doesn't mean you just sit about and wait for everything to happen, but I'm interested in that. Although there are some weird things I've got about it. I would actually be, before I get into my thing, because what do you think of manifesting? I'm interested in hearing that.
I think it's like a collection of techniques. So I do agree that you've got to think about something before you can do it. So I feel like you have to set like an intention.
Yes.
So like before you decide to do the you have to think like, okay, I'm going to set an intention to like write a show.
Yeah.
And then take it to the Fringe. So like you could say I'm manifesting a Fringe show, but like you've had the idea to do it, right?
So other people would call that making a plan.
Well, yes, I suppose, but I guess it's like it's all. So I googled it before the record to look up all these different like methods.
Yeah.
They are all basically just about reteaching your subconscious or your pattern of thinking to be a bit more positive and a bit more focused towards whatever your goals are. There's a lot of ways to do it, and some of them seem a little psychotic.
Such as?
Well, so I found out, have you heard about the 55 by 5?
No.
Right. So this is where you take whatever your like vision is or your goal or something that you want to start like making yourself believe. You write it 55 times on a bit of paper and then you wait a bit, then you do it again and you do that 5 times. So by the end of it, you've written it, what is that, 275 times. If I saw somebody just writing the same sentence 275 times, I would call 111.
That's interesting, because there's the techniques that I'm aware of is and what that sounds a bit like is affirmations.
Yes, there's affirmations.
So
yeah,
you can say it. Some people say it, or some people
just say it out loud.
So written affirmation. So it's there's this thing I listen to calls it written programming technique, but it's not. I wasn't aware of this 55 thing, but sometimes people just write it in the morning, first thing in the morning, write their goals. And then they do that every day.
Yeah.
And then so maybe you'd see a fucking. It's a bit like that. What do you call it in The Shining? He's like, what does he keep writing again? Fucking.
Oh, no, not Red Rum.
No,
they say
and
that.
It's not. No
Isn't
one
it
keeps
all
moving in the
work
corner.
and...
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like doing that,
Yeah.
But I do think, because I actually think that probably that is more what it is, because when you talk about manifesting, it sounds like this sort of woo airy fairy thing.
Yes.
But actually, I think a lot of probably, if there is any science in it, it's probably to do with programming the subconscious,
Yeah.
Because the subconscious obeys demands that your conscious mind sort of dictates.
Have you ever seen like Darren Brown's shows or like his TV shows?
I've seen
or
it
anything?
back in the day, for a while.
I used to be such a big fan of him, and he and that's not he's not like a sexual predator or anything. He's not been cancelled. I just haven't seen him in a while.
Not at time of recording.
Not at time of recording. Imagine if I predicted that.
That would be you manifesting it.
It's on my vision board. Don't want to tell you the picture I've used, but he the way that he would get people to, because he would just like he would like walk into a room and then make somebody do something and that they would normally have no intention of doing. Like
that does sound like a sexual predator.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not painting the best picture of him, but he would like he did one thing where he like made a woman kill a cat. But she didn't actually kill the cat, but there was like a button and he was like, if you press the button, the cat dies.
Yeah.
And she was just like, and he was just like, don't kill the cat. That's all you've got to do. And then he left the room. And then because of all of this stuff that he'd set up, she pressed the button and killed the cat. The cat was fine, of course. But it's something called neuro-linguistic programming.
Yeah, NLP. Yeah.
NLP. So I think that's similar to this sort of like thing that you're talking about.
Yeah,
but maybe that's when it's like you're doing it to somebody else. Like if you go to like a hypnotherapist or something.
I remember reading a book, and I think I have got a book called Introducing NLP that I read years ago, but I don't really remember much. But I don't know, that to me seemed a bit too. That's kind of like gets into like, it's funny you mentioned Darren Brown, because I feel like when you meet magicians and people that do that kind of stuff.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's a like, slippery slope to becoming a magician.
And it's kind of like, I remember meeting somebody and it was like, you felt like every single like social interaction they were trying to like dictate and bit by bit doing that, which I think is like.
But some people in business learn it specifically for that, so they can like go into a boardroom and make people do what they want.
Exactly, and I think there's probably like, this it's interesting, but I just think like, I don't know, I feel like.
I feel like manifesting's more about like the self, like stuff that you do for yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And and I think it's a lot to do with like, having a positive attitude and that type of thing.
Sure.
I've got with like the thing that I'm interested in, though, in terms of that is a bit more airy fairy is like have you ever heard of like the concept of, like the super conscious or whatever? So
Vaguely,
or the
yeah.
collective conscious mind and all these type of things. What would be like? You know, there's loads of different ways that people would put it. But I suppose it's like, you know, the way you see it on TikTok or something, like manifesting to the universe or some shit like that. But I do think that I find it interesting, and because you get these weird coincidences. So it's basically what serendipity is, right? It's like you're thinking about somebody and then they phone you,
Yeah.
or whatever. But or you know that way, like you wake up at the exact same. You know, it's like you've got that internal alarm clock in your body sometimes.
I wake up at a different time every day.
Do you really?
Yeah, I'm really bad for it.
People can program themselves to wake up with alarm clocks, which I wouldn't trust myself to do.
I used to have I think he was the drama teacher. He said to all of the kids once that if you want to say you want to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, just whack your head on the pillow 7 times before you go to bed, and then you wake up at 7.
Just write it 55 times, and then
He's not allowed to teach kids anymore. But
So whose pillow was it? That's the question.
Darren Brown.
Oh, the plot thickens, right? But here's one thing, and I always I sort of say this jokingly, but I do believe it. I can get a parking space anywhere. Like, I've never failed to get a parking spot because
For a car.
Because it's about the other thing that comes in with manifestation is visualization.
Okay.
As long as you visualize it, and this is key, believe 100%. So that's saying the two things you need to do is right is visualize it completely, believe in 100% that you'll get it.
Yeah.
And secondly, just be willing to take disabled parking spaces. And no, that's not true. But I genuinely, I can get them. And every time, like, see Steve or Stuart or whatever's in the car,
Yeah.
and I will say to them, and then like every time I get one, I was going, there you go.
Okay. I hate to bring him up again because of the allegations that I've made about him, but Darren Brown had a special that was about horse racing.
Right.
And you know how some people believe, like, I'm just really lucky when it comes to, like, anytime I put a bet on, like, the Grand National or something, they always win a bit of money. They always pick the right horse.
Totally.
So the show was following this one woman who Darren had said to her, like, I've come up with this system that it means that I'm going to pick the winning horse for you every time. And it was like 6 different races that he took her to. And the first one, she won like 20 quid. Then the next one, they were like, just put what you won on the first one on again. And then she won like 80 quid. And then so by the time the last one, she had like, gone to her dad and taken his life savings, her own life savings. So she had about like 4 grand to put on one horse, one race.
Yeah.
And then he goes, I actually don't have a system. Here's what happened. I said to 10,000 people, go bet on a horse, and I'll tell you which horse to bet on. But he was putting them all into groups in sort of like a tournament bracket kind of thing.
So she's the only one that...
But there was going to be one person out of the thousands who was going to, like, no matter how the cards fell,
Statistically, there's
she
gonna be
was
one
going to
person.
win every... There was
Oh.
always going to be one person who'd win every race.
Yeah.
And so then she found that at the end. And then, of course, he pulls it off that somehow she does pick the winning horse. And it's like, oh, how did you make that happen?
Yeah.
But some people just coincidentally, statistically, are likely to just have like things go right for them every time. There's going to be one person in every 100 million who has everything go right.
Here's what I would say about that as well, which I think personally goes back to how our thoughts can sometimes be more powerful than we maybe even understand, is that I think, right, because ultimately you could sort of try and like do experiments and logically try and explain some of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I think even regardless of whether it's basically like if scientifically proven or even right, I think it helps you to have beliefs that are beneficial to you. So if you believe things are going to work, if you believe I'm the kind of person that everything just works out for me, I'm the kind of person that can get this, I'm the person that gets that, there's like that sort of self-fulfilling prophecy aspect to
What
it.
if I were about to tell you that we've had your car towed whilst you've been in?
Well, that has happened to me before, actually. Well, it's currently in a car park, so that would be impossible, actually. But that did happen to me one time. Actually, the first day that I came through to do my first ever run at the Fringe, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it was actually weird and sort of ties in with this because... So I drove, me and Stephen Buchanan were going through, we were doing a show together. He was staying in his cousin's place in Bruntsfield, right? So I parked there and we went in to take his stuff up. We were there for about 10 minutes or something like that. And you know, sometimes you just get a weird feeling, right? See, as we were leaving, something in me just went, fuck, I better go downstairs. I think my car's going to get towed or something. and I fucking walked down the stair, and the
Just
car,
as it was getting hooked up.
it was getting hooked up to the tow truck.
Yeah.
And I went over, I couldn't believe it, right? And like, I mean, you could say, well, I'd seen the sign and I've just maybe not consciously seen it, but I've like seen that it's going to get towed.
Yeah.
But fucking went over, and it was so crazy, like how I just had that instant and it fucking was happening. And but yeah, fucking first day of the Fringe, right? And then the guy was being a dick. He wouldn't let it, once they've kind of hooked it up.
He's gotta get
it
it
wasn't
onto
like
the
on
thing.
the truck and anything yet, so I had to literally get a taxi and he wouldn't let me in the van. To
Wouldn't
drive
he
with
give you a
him.
lift?
No, I had to get
Or
a
sit
taxi
in your
and
own
follow
car?
him on. I know I couldn't. I had to get a taxi, follow him on car down to the pound. The guy on the phone was pretty nice actually, and he sort of said, "Oh, you know, that guy's a bit, like." He sort of
He takes the job seriously.
yeah. So,
yeah.
But the guy sort of told me, "Oh, well, if you appeal it, you probably get away with it," kind of thing.
All right.
And he actually says, like, "Oh, we had Susan Kilman in here last week." It was just like the celebs coming in. But annoyingly, by the time I got round to applying for it, it was after the Fringe, and you need to do it within the month, so I've lost. And that was like a lot of money. I can't remember how much it was, but I remember putting on a credit card, and I did not pay off that money for about 2 years.
Yeah, that's what a credit card's for.
I suppose so. But yeah, that was a weird thing of like having that gut feeling, and then
And you just knew to go out.
I just knew it as soon as I left. I just
knew.
went. That was a strange moment.
It's like that girl in Mean Girls who's like, oh, there's a 30% chance it's raining.
Yeah,
You just feel your breasts and go, I have a feeling my car's being towed.
And so obviously, I do take all this with a pinch of salt, obviously, but I do think. I think there's a benefit.
You believe in thinking if things are going to go well, then there's a good chance they will.
Absolutely, because the opposite's true as well. Like, obviously, people that you seem a bit negative and stuff like that. It's amazing how things do.
You
tend
can
to
be
happen.
down on yourself because when you have something go wrong, then it's very easy, and I do this, it's very easy to then look at other stuff in your life that could be going better.
Yeah.
And then you can just trick yourself into thinking like everything's going wrong when actually everything is fine.
Yeah.
You've just had one thing set you off.
But that's the thing. But one thing can sometimes get a snowball effect, and like I feel like all our happiness is like it's so like it's on a fucking house of cards, isn't it? And it just takes one thing, and then all of a sudden everything else looks shit and all of that. But I think honestly, like having the perspective you have on stuff is so important in terms of like how you see, because actually there's a phrase that I think that is it FNLP, and the only reason I remember it is because I've heard fucking Jimmy Carsey on every podcast because he's like a self-help guru. But they say the map is not the territory, so it's like how you see the world's different from how the world actually is.
Oh, true.
But like it's true, because like you can look at. Yeah, I remember like when I'd left uni and stuff like that, and it was obviously just after like. Oh no, just after, but like it was still in the aftermath, like financial crash and credit crunch and all this stuff. And the sort of general perception was there's no jobs, right? Which is true, obviously, and everything's hard for people. But see if you had that, attitude of like, oh well, there's no point trying. I might as well just get a job and work in a call centre, blah blah blah.
Right.
But I had that idea of like, I want to try and do stand up and pursue something creative and all this. And if you, again, it goes back to that thing. You need to believe that you could do it. You need to be able to see yourself.
Yeah.
Having a path to it.
It's interesting though, because I feel like with stand-up or like anything performance-based, there has to be, it is believing in yourself at the end of the day, but it is also like a small amount of, I guess for lack of a better word, delusion.
Yeah.
Because like if you think about it, if you were like just going to go on a stage once, do one open mic and leave it at that, you'd be like, yeah, that's good. Like you can do that. That's great.
Totally.
But then if you want to make it a career...
Yeah.
Like it's very difficult to start a career in this business or any entertainment business.
Yeah.
So you have to sort of like believe in yourself to the point where like you don't see the obstacles that are in the way of like how many people there are, how difficult it is, the number of jobs that are available.
But that's also a question of perspective to an extent as well.
True.
Because that's, if you focus too much on that, you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I guess that's something that gets thrown around a lot, isn't it? Like delusion, but I mean, everybody would have been like delusional when like every big star now would have been seen as delusional when they started. You know what I mean? If they wanted to do, and I think like I think the difference is like just the steps that you then decide to go to try and make something happen like that. Do you know what I mean? Because like I think I'm more of a believer in like the sort of growth mindset thing of like like so stand up I seen as like a skill you could get better at. So
same.
And most of the things in life are kind of like that. So it's like, what would I most like to do? To stand up, so just start working at it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it sounds meant. And actually, I knew that obviously because you know it sounds mental and delusional, and you could easily be discouraged from it by by people if they just slide you off for going, oh, you never fucking, it's never going to happen and this and that. So you kind of almost like, I didn't tell anyone for ages. You know, I stopped hanging about with certain friends.
So many stand-ups do that. They keep it to themselves for a little bit.
I think so.
Before they're willing to like let people watch.
Because you're that bad when you start out that if anyone seen you, they would be like, what are you thinking? But, like, do you know what I mean? But then by the time you build a bit of skill and then people go, all right, oh great. It's like, you know, when you meet somebody and they go, oh yeah, I'm just starting a diet. I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to lose weight. And you go, all right, well, good luck.
Yeah, you want to come back when you've actually like put on 30 pounds of muscle.
Exactly.
Could lift a car over your head.
Yeah, I lost 30 pounds of fat. but that, do you know what I mean? So it's like nobody believes anyone can change. Like, you know how do you ever like see when an old person sees like, you know, there's like a wee kid and they run into like their mum's friend or something. Yeah. And the friend always goes, oh, the last time I seen you, you were just this height.
Yeah.
And then they've got taller. I always feel like the unspoken bit of that sentence is, whereas I have not changed whatsoever. Because we're all and it's like when you meet somebody that's lost loads of weight and you go, fuck, you done it in the last 3 months. The last 3 months I've done fuck all.
We only notice like extreme changes.
But also you just feel insecure about how little you could have made certain changes like that within the same time.
Yeah.
You know, as Molly May says, we've all got the same 24 hours a day.
I think you do listen to a lot of toxic podcasts.
Diary of a CEO.
But it is true. No, it is true. Lots of stand-ups just sort of like, they want to wait until like, I don't know, they've made the final of a competition, or like they can like they've got like a really good club set or something.
Totally. My mates found out because they went to go and see Stephen Buchanan.
Oh yeah.
I used to work. My mate for school, Steve, who's also called Stephen. He and a few of the guys, he worked with Steve, and they worked in the co-op, and so they went to see him one night, and we were both on a lineup.
Right.
So when I got there, like, what are you doing here? I was like, and I was quote unquote headlining because I'd done like 20 gigs or whatever at that point. You know what I mean? So like, but by that point, I've probably been doing it a year. I'd probably done about 30 gigs, and I was probably at that point, it was like, okay, I feel competent enough that they can know about it now. Yeah. And you know what I mean? But when I start, you know, for my third, fourth gig, I'd have hated it.
I had the misfortune of rewatching my first gig because it was recorded.
Oh my God. It's tough.
Never mind Darren Brown being cancelled. No, bad. But I do agree that it is good to have a positive mindset. So when it comes to actively practicing manifesting, what are you doing? Because you said affirmations.
I have done in the past. I've done although funnily enough, like, because the thing with the affirmations is that they say there's a couple of things about it that you want. So if you just go like, you know, I want to. So even like when you're starting out, in, like you said about competitions, right? Yeah. So even if you're like, oh, I want to win, you know, whatever it is, BBC New Comedy Award or Leicester Square Theatre or whatever, that's out with your control, I would say.
Well, I did actually win Leicester Square Theatre.
Did you actually? No way, I did not realise there was a presence of greatness here. I never made it through the fucking heats, I don't think. Maybe made it to the second round or something.
I only remembered the other day we were in the final of the same competition and I completely forgot.
Was that the 2-0 down?
Yes.
One? Yeah, that's the only one I ever got to. It was like nobody there. No. That's right, I forgot about that. Aye.
But sorry, yes. So if you're going into the mindset of actually winning the whole thing, so it needs to be personal,
but like a good thing, yeah. But and I suppose maybe like something like that it just didn't work for me with the competitions really. But I always felt it was more like something like, you know, if you just like thought I'm going to be a professional comedian or something like that, like which I guess,
or even just like for those, because you only get like 5 minutes on stage. So like if you just said to yourself, I just want to come out with it with a nice tight 5.
Yeah, and actually before gigs it's helpful as well because there's a thing called the sports programming technique, which is also the same as that thing, and basically you can either visualise, like, so if you've done 5 minutes you can visualise your whole set and you go through it and how you want to go and where the laughs will be, and then but sometimes you can just go before. It's like people do this apparently before presentations and this work shit, and they'll go like,
oh really?
This presentation goes excellently, I will have an excellent gig or whatever it is.
That's really interesting because before I became a stand-up I hated public speaking. Like I get so nervous I couldn't breathe. Yeah. So people kept seeing my face go red and thinking that I was having like an allergic reaction, like it was really bad. But then as soon as I did stand up for the first time, I was like, oh, that didn't happen. Like for whatever reason, I'm a lot more calm in the context of talking to people in stand up than I am like if I had to do a presentation like the quarterly sales or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I do think context has a lot to do with it as well. But again, maybe that's just because I wanted to do stand-up, so I set the intention of being good at it.
Absolutely. I thought probably as well it's a bit easier like when you know you can, because obviously you know it's a bit of a looser conversation when you're talking on stage rather than having,
Yeah.
because you need to look as though you know what you're saying when you're doing a presentation.
Exactly, yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
at least you can kind of like, if you fuck something up.
In stand-up, if I'm a bit thick, that's just part of my persona.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just really thick, big jugs. Like, that's it. That's all that people need. That's all that people need. Are there any forms of manifesting that you just wouldn't do? Because there were some that I saw that I was like, I don't know.
Does that include like crystals and all that shit? I'm not really into any of that.
Crystals didn't come up. I feel like crystals is more like a belief thing.
Yeah.
So, like, actually, when you were saying earlier, something popped into my head about if you get like a rundown, if you get like a cold or something, everyone's got like a little thing that like is supposed to be like their cure for the cold.
Yeah.
So like my family for ages, they were just like, oh, we just take these little echinacea capsules.
Yeah, my gran takes them. Yeah.
I think if you said to somebody else like, oh, echinacea, they'd be like, that's not going to do anything.
No.
But there's something about
There's
like
placebo
you have
effect in it?
a little bit. Yeah. It's the same with Lemsip. Now I know that does have drugs in it.
Yeah,
so that is doing something.
I fucking rely on Lemsip so much when I'm not well, but I wonder how much it actually does.
The hot, I think it's just like the hot water and the lemoniness makes it soothing.
It does, yeah.
But
right.
actually, like, it is just the same as like what you get in like a paracetamol. But I love a Lemsip.
And here we're on to the anti-vax.
Yeah.
Big pharma. Big Lemsip's going to come for this podcast.
But there's vision boarding. Have you ever made a vision board?
Do you know I have actually?
Have you?
Yeah.
What did you put on
I
it?
done it on my computer, so not in a real thing.
Okay.
I put a few famous stand-ups with quotes that I liked from them, and not just that, but other people I admired with quotes, and it was all about like just like nice quotes that I liked, and then the main thing was like something that I'd like to achieve one day, which I will keep to myself. But
fair enough.
But
I do get that. I've seen people do.
But I think it's just a lot of shit, really. But
well, do you know what? I actually see with the vision board, I do get it because.
But I think if anything can solidify in your head what you're aiming towards.
Well, I think it's because the idea with a vision board is like you're supposed to have it up in a room that you see every day.
Yeah.
So whether you mean to or not, you're getting a constant reminder of what you said your goals were. I remember my old job that I had before going full-time as a comedian, I was like a project manager.
Yeah.
And so all of the jobs that everyone was working on, they would be stuck on Post-its onto a wall. Like that's how I managed like what everyone was doing. So everyone was aware of what was going on all of the time because it's right there. And if you ever like are confused about what's coming next, it's also on the board. So like everything's there. It's all about like visualizing.
Yeah.
And I've made an attempt at a vision board before where it also had like, I don't think it had like a specific comedian. I think it had like a comedy club.
Yeah. It's like those mad posters you see with the sort of Sinatra mic.
Yeah. Like one of those
open mic comedy.
or if
tonight.
you like go to Chat GPT and say like, show me a comedy club that's really busy and everyone fancies me. So it was like a picture like that. And then the other thing, and this might be some evidence as to how vision boarding doesn't always work. It was, I can't go too far into this. So if you're a gay man, you've bought some unusual underwear before. We've all done it. You wouldn't know.
Okay.
But sometimes when you buy that, it comes with like a weird leaflet for like all of the other stuff. And it's got all of these like male underwear models in it. Yeah. So I did like rip out like a thing from there and stick it on the board of someone who'd be like, if I had his body, I wouldn't want to be an underwear model, but I'd have the confidence of an underwear model.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas now I think I have the confidence of a model who puts on more clothes than when they walked onto the shoot.
Yeah.
Nice moo.
Is that, or even I remember I found a picture of myself when I had lost weight, or I even thought that was and then that way it's like sometimes you take a before picture or you think it's a before picture, and then I'm like that would be an ideal after for me right now. A few years later,
have you ever actually taken the before photo? Mm-hmm. I can't bring myself to do it. Yeah, I always think I'm going to do it and then like go to the gym and try and like I don't know become like a CrossFit person or something. Yeah. But I've never.
But I look at something I took it when I was like 24, and I look at it now. I'm like, oh my god, I would kill for that.
No, God, no, not from that far ago. Yeah, no, I'd be the same.
Yeah,
I would be the same. But you could put that on a vision board now.
I could do, yeah. I feel like with some of this stuff though, it's more like just with practical. I think with like health stuff, actually, it's more like practicality. So basically, I got a PT, and I'm just like, yeah, you just do these things. It's like, but see, actually, the thing about the vision board thing though is because if you ever read that book Atomic Habits.
No,
it's good actually, right? Because I know it's like one of the ones you see everybody always, but you roll your eyes at it a bit. But it's really one of the better books in that genre, I think. And there's a bit, and he talks about make it obvious. So like, see if you've got a thing like just even probably just putting it up somewhere where you're like, I know that's what I'm aiming towards.
Yeah,
there's probably something to be said for that.
I used to have this thing with stand up where I would say, if somebody asked me what I did, I would just say my day job, and I would leave it at that.
Totally.
And then at some point, someone was just like, no, you do stand up as well. Like, it is a job.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to, you could say, like, oh, stand up is my job as well. And then when I started saying that, I think that probably led to me ending up doing it full time.
It's a mental shift, because actually it's interesting, because I used to have stuff about working in the call centre, which is what I'd done.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'd left the call centre, and sometimes you were unsure whether to still talk as though. Oh no, it was sometimes when I was still in the call centre actually, and I was doing gigs, be doing a weekend, and you're getting paid and all that. And you're going, should I not say that I still work in a call centre because I want them to think I'm a proper comedian?
Yeah.
Even though I did, and then I always think it's like better to just be honest.
It's the vocal equivalent of dressing for the job that you want.
Absolutely, 100%.
That's a way of manifesting.
Honestly, it is manifesting. Like and dressing, for the occasion and all that kind of stuff is 100%.
The first time I came to the Fringe and I changed my Tinder bio to say just here for some quick D, that's manifesting.
It is. Well,
and then I met my husband, so it works.
But I feel like I suppose you could probably say almost anything is manifesting, because if you're any actions that you're taking towards trying to get to where you want to go. You're putting that out there, and like you just never know the consequences of that. And it's like when you know what it's like when you do stand up and you do different gigs. You can go and do some gig or something, and you're like, this is absolutely pointless. There's no point in being here. This is going to go. And then you meet somebody, whether it's another comic or a promoter sees you.
You make some kind of connection.
And then 2-3 years down the line, that person's, you're doing.
That person's towing your car.
Yeah, exactly. And you go, well, maybe you can give me a discount. And you go, no, and I'm like, that's fine. But, but it's in theory, no, but it's like, they could end up being, having some job or helping you out, or you could be working with them or whatever. And just those connections you make along the way. It's, it's all, part of that process. I don't know. I'm probably talking shite, but I feel like in terms of like I suppose actual manifesting, what was some other stuff that you've seen that people had said what they would do? Like more,
I wrote them down actually. The
stuff? 55.
Yeah, some of it.
I'm going to manifest myself another bit of Frangelico, by the way.
Oh, go on.
Let's not tell the barrel bar of this. Let's see if they watch. Yeah.
Oh, there is something wild that I saw. So we've covered vision boards, affirmations that apparently you say them into the mirror so you can see yourself saying them. That's quite important.
There's a thing that people do as well. This is on this one thing I've listened to, but is if you say I like myself and I am responsible are the two important things.
Now, see, those ones I wouldn't. I already know I like myself. If there was another me, we'd probably get along.
Right.
But, so I don't think
that would be a good name for like a book or something.
If there was another me, I think we could. That's my self-help.
I want to see. I've had a Rosé. Let's talk about feelings with Sam Lake, and guest Sam Lake.
Just me again. One day we're gonna have to do that where the guest is me and I'm also the host. I don't know how we make that work.
That's when fucking somebody doesn't show up.
Oh, we could hire an impersonator. I saw the other day, I had to send it to a friend, somebody who's a Pitbull impersonator, but he's Welsh and he's fully being Pitbull with a Welsh accent, and he's promoting his gig on September 7th at Mecca Bingo in Cardiff. You enjoy that, babes.
Sponsored ad.
Sponsored ad. But so that was one. And then the other one, which again, I just can't see myself doing this, but I guess if you did do it, maybe because you're like, this is so stupid, I might as well fully commit to it. It's called the pillow method, where you write your goal, whatever it is you're working towards, on a letter, put it in an envelope, and then put the envelope underneath your pillow and sleep on it.
Oh, I feel like that sounds similar to what's called cosmic ordering, which is apparently what Noel Edmonds does.
Right, so then it's a whole load of wank.
Yeah.
No.
Well, did you ever hear? So John Ronson done an article in The Guardian once, and it was he was following Noel Edmonds about, and it was when he was hosting Deal or No Deal.
Yeah.
And he believes in this thing where you can order stuff for the universe and all this. And then he said, he's like he was talking about that's how I got my wife, but they just divorced. And then and John Ronson's like, oh, well, because he's like, oh, I asked for, this blonde woman, intelligent, blah, blah, blah. And then and he says, oh, well, how come you just get divorced? He says, I never asked for trustworthy.
Do you know what? That is kind of like, it's vaguely sort of like culty and religious sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you had this. We had like I didn't go to like a faith-based school, but we got a lot of Christian preachers who would come in to do like the assembly, and you wouldn't fully understand that they're promoting like Christianity to you until after. Like, there was a guy who would come in and he would tell us this.
That was the old version of Huel.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, Jesus was so buff, he probably turned water into Huel.
Yeah. He only needed 2 loaves because he was supplementing with Huel drinks for the rest of his meals.
I don't think he was touching the carbs whatsoever.
No. Shredded. People would come in, and there was this one. It was a rock band, and they came and put on like this really cool rock concert, and their songs were actually pretty good. And then they did the assembly the next day, and I remember asking them like, "Oh, you've got this really cool bit of equipment that makes these cool noises. Where did you get that?" And they said, well, one day it was just so interesting. We really needed one, so we prayed for it. And the next day it just turned up on the doorstep. Yeah. And you hear that and you go like, I feel like there's like an Amazon order that's been left out of this story.
Which in a way I think is that's a good metaphor for manifestation, really. Because I suppose in a way, praying is people just sort of thinking about something they want and whatever.
Well, yeah.
But again, like you say, that middle bit getting left out. And that's where I think people get the wrong idea of not just, quote unquote manifesting, but like when people are cynical about all this kind of stuff, whether it's, The Secret or which again is, very like,
I've heard of The Secret,
but like that, or just even being positive mental attitude and that type of thing. Like MD who kind of goes, well, your thoughts can like, affect how you act and all that. But the bit that they the straw man, I suppose, that's used against it is, oh, well, it doesn't just happen. And no one's really saying it does. But this starts with you thinking, and then you take action from there.
There is also the fact that, like, when people are telling stories about, like, I thought of this thing and then it happened. Yeah, you don't hear all of the other stories of where I thought of something and nothing like it happened whatsoever.
Absolutely, no, 100%. It's like, I didn't fucking manifest Oasis tickets this morning on Ticketmaster. I didn't know for that, right? But I would say like there's something to be said for it, and sometimes like I think I always feel like. The thing I've heard before that I think is true is like they say sometimes like the world gives you what you need, not what you want. So sometimes it's like and there's obviously loads of counter examples to that, but again it's sometimes about believing what can help you. Yeah. And sometimes because I think everyone's had this experience, particularly in something like comedy. It's like sometimes you want something really badly and you don't get it, and then you maybe get it further down the line, or you don't, but you look back and you go, thank God I never got that then, because if I did,
kind of,
it'd have ruined me, or I wouldn't have been
sometimes
ready.
I feel like if you don't get it when you were saying to yourself, oh, I really want it now, and you go and do other stuff and it's sort of out of your head a little bit, and then you get it, it's still nice, but it doesn't impact you the same way, because your mind's moved on to other stuff.
And it's always kind of funny, like when you want something too much, you'll not get it, but there's something to be said for indifference towards an outcome. Yeah. And or not being invested too much in it, because then sometimes by the time you get something that you used to really want, you've got that indifference that's probably makes you in the place where it's now more likely to get it.
There's a Saturday Night Live sketch where it's like kids waiting to get casted for the school play, and the drama teacher comes out and goes like, Caitlin, do you want the lead role in the play? And she goes, I don't really care either way. And he went, that's exactly why you'll get the lead role. It's true.
That's it. And that's why you always need to pretend you don't fancy someone, and then they'll like you. That's the whole gig.
And I'll just say, everyone has such a hard time doing that with me.
Listen, I've been, I'm really trying to resist this.
So when to sort of sum up then, when it comes to manifesting, I mean, there is like a stigma to it that is a bit.
And what's the thing? What's the kind of general consensus, would you say, of what the perception is of it?
That's what I mean. It's like, I feel like if it gets, I think something like when it's sort of like in its stages of becoming something bigger in the mainstream, that's sort of like the best time for it, because it finds the right people, those people get it and it works for them.
Yeah.
Then filtered versions of it go out to the mainstream, and then it gets interpreted in lots of different ways, and then you get all of these other like takes on it, which are probably a bit far off. So like the original idea of manifesting and like setting the right intention for something is probably quite a good thing.
Yeah.
But then you get like, I don't know, it falls into the I think this is why we have things like live, laugh, love door knockers and things like that. Yeah. Like when it becomes that kind of stuff that you could pick up for £9.99
like, we can manifest to help the people of Gaza or whatever. It's not going to happen, obviously, right? But like, do you know what I mean? Like when it gets to that level, and then it just becomes another, as you say, live, laugh, love sort of fucking slogan thing. But I do feel like there is definitely like I just think personally, like that ending that again. It probably is the ways that you can sort of consciously like alter your subconscious mind to help you in ways, because like that's kind of running the show the whole time, the subconscious.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what so much stuff we do is under the surface of like, you know, our conscious mind. So the more that you can kind of try and I suppose program yourself to an extent to have these unconscious, whether it's beliefs or habits or whatever, that help you. The better. And then sometimes it can just be, you know, that can be the difference between like, you know, like an opportunity, getting an opportunity or not, or taking the right thing. Even like, no, you're on stage and like you're hosting the shows as you've been doing this weekend and stuff, and sometimes something will happen in the room and like, you know, you react to it honestly. You're not consciously, you know, you don't get time to go and write.
Something switches on there.
Something switches on there.
Yeah.
And so, like, almost like by, you know, the previous gigs you've done, thinking about comedy, like even just like taking stuff in, watching other stuff, all of that stuff then feeds into it.
Sometimes I think of it as when I'm on stage, like somebody else is piloting the ship once I'm on stage, but I built the ship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's in a way kind of, I almost think that's a good way of looking at manifesting, because it's like, you build all this stuff. You build your thoughts and what you're trying to do, and then I suppose because we've only got a certain amount of control over what happens and what's happening around us and all that. So somebody else is piloting the ship of life. But you have built the most sturdy. Well, I suppose it's like the fucking life is the ocean. Yeah, we are the ship. Build the sturdiest ship you can have.
Is our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Pray, and everything will be fine.
Yeah.
You know,
very insightful, I think. Very insightful. That was good. We've got one last thing to do with you. I don't know if you manifested the final section of the show, but let's have a crack at it. The last thing we do with all of our guests is called Quickfire Feelings. So I've just got...
I guess we've not really talked much about feelings, have we?
Well... No, you have. I feel like manifesting has a lot to do with like self-conscious.
I guess it's almost like having your feelings over your thoughts, almost in a way.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's about feelings management, feelings admin.
Yeah. And as I'm saying, it's like, you know, you can consciously be like think, oh, this is a lot of shit, but see if you believe that it's true, maybe it'll manifest itself.
Very wise words. Very wise words.
What can I say?
It's the Frangelico talking.
It's the Frangelico. This is it.
It's going down very well. Very well. I've got 5 seemingly random things here, and I just want you to tell me very briefly how they make you feel.
Sure. Do you want one word or more than that?
No, just whatever comes to mind.
Okay.
Say whatever you feel. The first thing, and we do ask this to every guest, so every guest has an opinion on this. How do you feel about dark chocolate?
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I try and eat healthfully, that'll sometimes be my methadone. That'll be my barbecue sauce.
Your methadone.
Or whatever. Although actually in recent times I've managed to wean myself even off that, and I'll just not have much snacks. But I like dark chocolate. I think if you can get 70-85%, and then you can get a wee bit will do.
Dark. Yeah. I'm a milky boy, and I always have been.
I know. I mean, don't get me wrong, because the thing is, if you've been eating dark chocolate for a bit and then you have a bit of milk chocolate, like,
you're
oh
like,
God, that's so much better.
Sugar's actually really nice.
Sugar's amazing.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Somebody has also said, and I do agree, dark chocolate's quite nice on something else, like a biscuit or a pudding of some kind. Like you'd use dark chocolate in like a brownie. Milk chocolate, I think, would be too much.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. How do you feel about protein shakes?
I don't really have them now.
No?
I used to for a bit when I was younger, but I don't really even
anymore.
know why. No, but like I don't know. I've because I'm always trying to get lean, so I don't really care.
Right.
I feel like I get enough protein in my diet.
Okay.
But whether or not that's right, I don't know. But I'm not really trying to beef up. I just want to be lean, so I'm not really that arsed about the protein shakes.
Fair enough. They are kind of gross as well.
Yeah, I do have a NutriBullet where I put like veg and some berries in.
I do that. We get like these frozen. You can get like frozen smoothie packs that have like mango, banana, spirulina, and stuff.
Nice.
You just whip them in with a bit of apple juice, and I put my protein powder in that.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's nice. How do you feel about Lorraine Kelly not hosting her own show?
What you mean? Is she not doing that anymore? Or do you mean the fact that she sees herself as a separate entity?
So her show is called Lorraine, but somebody's running a Twitter account at the moment where they count how many times she's hosted her own show. And let's say there's like how many days we're into the year now, like 200 something. She's hosted it 99 times. And so for the other, so for less than
who fills in
random
for
guest hosts like Christine, what's her last name? Christine Lampard.
All right.
Ranveer sometimes.
Okay.
Andy Peters.
I think it's fine because it's like Storm Huntley does Jeremy Vine sometimes, doesn't she? Or maybe she's got her own show now.
Yeah.
And I also, as someone who hosts a podcast and has two other hosts and has not actually missed an episode in about 2 years
Have
now.
you never missed one?
No, I have, because it was a few when I was in Australia they done without me, but they
okay.
just barely. And
Just barely.
I feel like I could use a break. So and also I feel like Lorraine has deserved it. It's like, you know, you hear about the old Johnny Carson show and it'd be like Gary Shandling and fucking Seinfeld and Letterman and Jay Leno would all stand in for him. I feel like that's maybe Lorraine's just looking at the next generation and going, maybe Christine Lampard is the person to fill my Dundonian shoes.
Do you think she's the next Lorraine Kelly?
Well,
Christine Lampard.
perhaps not, but maybe she's just testing the field, you know. Maybe there will of course never be another Lorraine.
There really won't be.
You know, but I'm interested to see.
I nearly started a LGBT comedy night called Lorrainbow Kelly.
That's good.
It's something, but it's hard to explain. Doesn't look right on a poster.
Yeah, no, it's one of the ones that sounds better said than written down.
It is, yeah. And then, so then I just stopped being gay. How do you? We already talked about it a little bit. How do you feel about Oasis?
I mean, I do love them. Like, and as I say earlier on, I don't mind being a basic bitch with certain things, and Oasis is certainly one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. They were just on growing up all the time. That was just, and do you know? I read Stuart Lee's book years ago, right? And he said he had this bit where he was talking about he was in Australia and there was like a new Oasis album. It was probably one of the latter ones.
Yeah.
And he said I went and bought it because even though I don't like them, you know, it was like a taste of England. And he said, to be honest, it would really take such a fucking smug, arrogant arsehole to moan about Oasis, which was basically me in my 20s. Like, talk about him. But it's like, and it's like even somebody like him who should snobbishly look down on it has to admit they've got amazing. The tunes are amazing. Whatever you think of the lyrics or the chords, I don't know anything about that. But all I know is that growing up, it made you feel great listening to them. And again, if we're talking about feelings over thoughts, Oasis are probably one of the best examples ever of just making you feel like, yeah, man, let's fucking, let's do this.
Sure.
You know, and particularly if you're from, to be honest, like a kind of working class area, like, and Glasgow is one of those, like, you related to those guys, man. And I think I think it's great, you know what I mean? And like, for whatever people think of them these days individually and whatever, yeah, they were a cultural phenomenon. And again, like Taylor Swift, I think it's good that those type of things exist and can make people feel good.
Yeah.
And they certainly do that for me.
Hard pivot. How do you feel about lollipop people?
What do you mean?
As in not the people from The Wizard of Oz, the people who hold up the lollipop sticks.
I feel sorry for them. I had a bit about this years ago, which James Acaster kind of hit on the same idea. But I used to always drive to work at kind of around about school. Like I was going for 4 o'clock, so I'd always see it. But I feel that, you know how the way that AI is coming for all of jobs now?
Yeah.
Basically, the first inclination of that was when they started putting traffic lights at bits for lollipop lights. And then so all the other job was just to press a button and then stand. And I was like, it used to be like, they're like, they still give the stick like the fucking Gandalf, like, you shall not pass. But it's like, the fucking, like, the wee kids are like, fucking, they can just do it themselves, you know what I mean? So I feel, it's a shame because they used to say if the cat fits, wear it,
If the cat fits.
If the cap fits.
Oh, the cap
That
fits.
was like I used to have that poster in my primary school. With the cap.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why they're encouraging kids to become lollipop men and ladies, but that was on my school. And I think it's a good, it's a noble tradition that
Noble tradition.
is sadly maybe becoming slightly less relevant, but I feel that they're doing a good job. But they were probably the Canadians in the coal mine of us all losing their jobs to technology at some point.
Sure. Well, I was going to say they're very similar to like town criers.
Yeah.
Don't really need a town crier now.
I mean, you
but
do still need a lollipop.
Well, you have like a ceremonial town crier. I feel like a lollipop lady's sort of there to like help children understand how they should cross the road properly.
Absolutely, yeah, and just not and almost being like a sort of scarecrow to make sure they don't do it incorrectly. And you run across the street and they get into trouble off the lollipop.
Well, now I'm thinking that you've run over a lollipop lady.
There used to be a guy that was down in Clydebank and he was across, and what he would do is he would, like, it was on like quite a main road, and he would stop, and if people would often drive by him, and he would write their registrations down on the back of his lollipop thing. I don't know like what he would have done with it. He like goes to the police and grabs them
and then just wave it.
Yeah, but yeah. I don't think that's like legally binding.
No. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode.
Awesome.
There you go. I mean, have a Frangelico for the road if you want one.
I'll take an empty bottle back to the barrel bar.
Before we let you go, is there anything that you want to plug for the listeners?
I guess so. Well, I've got 2 stand-up specials that are out online. They're both out for free on YouTube. One called Original Sound, I recorded at the King's Theatre in Glasgow, and the other is called Away From Here, that I recorded up the road at Monkey Barrel earlier this year. So check them out. That's only half an hour long as well, which I feel is a USP or a selling point that I've not hit enough. Span. It's only half an hour. You don't need to watch the fucking an hour thing. But yeah, watch both of them. I do a podcast called Some Laugh. Obviously, Sam, you were a guest on it.
Had a lovely time
quite recently, and so do check that out as well if you haven't. And just follow me online at Marc Jennings on most stuff.
On most things. Lovely. I'll everyone do that. And you can follow this show at I've Had a Rosé.
Can I just put a button as well? I'll probably have a tour on sale for next year.
Probably have a bloody tour
pretty soon. So yeah. Check
Lovely.
out that as well.
Check it out. You can follow us on I've Had a Rosé, where you'll find out more stuff about more episodes coming up. And we'll be back very soon with another episode. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Cheers.